To this special presentation of Owner to Owners presented by BronXchange. Today's event would not be possible without our Bronx community partners, which include BronXchange, BCDI, Bronx Community Foundation, Bronx Women's Business Center, and the Business Outreach Center Network, Bronx Overall Economic Development Corporation, SOBRO, WEDCO, the Small Business Development Center Network, the Jerome Gunhill Bid, and the larger Bronx Bid Network. So it's great to see to have so much support here to really promote Bronx businesses and how we can flourish through worker ownership. Owner to Owners is an employee ownership NYC initiative that's been lifted up by the mayor. And we're going to learn about this innovative approach to connecting businesses with the resources and market needed to thrive here in the Bronx in today's presentation. We'll learn more deeply about employee ownership and what tools are available for you to explore it. You can begin to learn more about employee ownership today at no cost by visiting that's number 2, owners.nyc, or by calling our hotline at 646-363-6592, which is available in a variety of languages. We'll get an opportunity to hear more about the services that Owner to Owners provides later on. And we're really excited about our lineup today of Bronx businesses and technical service providers for small businesses. We're going to learn more about and lean into what it means to pursue economic democracy right here in the Bronx by focusing on how we can achieve shared success throughout the community and by prioritizing small businesses. We'll have a short Q&A session at the end of our event, so please save your questions. And if, as the discussion is taking place, as they come up, please use the Q&A feature or chat them to our panelists. Now, can folks hear me? Just wanted to make sure. Okay. Now we'll hear a few words from Deputy Mayor Phil Thompson, who is the Deputy Mayor for Strategic Initiatives and oversees agencies and mayoral offices, including Democracy NYC, the Minority and Women-Owned Business Enterprises Program, the Mayor's Office of Workforce Development, and the Young Men's Initiative. Deputy Mayor Thompson is a longtime champion of worker ownership as a means to close racial and gender wealth gaps and build equitable, flourishing communities where everyone gets to benefit. So I'll pass it on to Deputy Mayor Phil Thompson. Welcome and thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you for the introduction, and thank everyone for participating today. I know many of you, and I don't need to tell you how important it is for us to think about new strategies for economic advancement for working people and people of color, especially. We live in a grossly unequal society, and the way in which most people think about business and economics is you work for a boss, the boss makes all the decisions, and investors and the boss split up whatever profits there are from the business, and they get wealthy while you just try and work to survive. And that paradigm is not inherent to how the economy can or should work. It really is something in this country that was shaped over a long time by our traditions of slavery and gross worker suppression. And a workplace need not be a dictatorship. And in fact, if we want to have a successful democracy, a robust democracy, then on the job is where people spend most of their waking hours. And it is the best place to actually learn about democracy. And in the same way that slave plantations, which was big business, waged war against democracy in this country, literally, the Civil War, business can also promote democracy in an opposite way. if it is so structured. And that is kind of the big picture of what we're trying to achieve here. But as I'm sure you'll hear later, worker-owned businesses are an important way that workers can actually benefit in the here and now from the fruits of their labor. And as we're trying to recover from COVID, it is a very viable strategy for low-income communities that don't have a lot of millionaires and billionaires who can invest in business to nonetheless, pool their resources, pool their assets, pool their collective will to achieve significant results for communities. And so that's what we're after. And we all know that the largest cooperative business, worker-owned business in the country is in the Bronx. And we know that there are a lot of folks working on these strategies in the Bronx. And so the Bronx can be the lead in New York and kind of like showing the way on how we build strong worker-owned businesses. So with that, I'll end and thank you for listening today.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Phil Thompson. And your words are an understanding of the context in which we're engaging this space. Engaging worker ownership, employee ownership in the Bronx is always deeply important to hear and ground us. We'll now be joined by Tim Gamery, who will share a new innovative approach to supporting Bronx small businesses and service providers in the community. Tim is the CEO of BronXchange, which is a social enterprise that's dedicated to creating a more sustainable, equitable, and democratic economy, connecting major purchasers in the Bronx with high road local businesses. So I'll hand it over to you, Tim. Welcome, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Antu, and thank you, Deputy Mayor Thompson. Truly appreciate the energy and the spirit and the inspiration for this work in the Bronx, and really excited to represent the Bronx. Coming from the Bronx, born in a long time ago, not raised, and came back again. I have incredible affinity and love for the people of the Bronx, and very excited to be a part of what's going on in the Bronx now and helping to create economic democracy in practice and help empower people that live in the Bronx, people of color, low-income folks, to actually take part in ownership of the community. And I'm part of BronXchange, which is part of and came out of BCDI, the Bronx Cooperative Development Initiative, which is really helping lead this effort and moving in a number of different ways to empower Bronxites and create a more democratic economy. So the BronXchange, to focus in on, I'm really excited to be on the call also with the businesses that we work with, because we get to work with like really incredible people, and we help to support in many ways to connect to opportunities, to resources, to help impactful businesses grow. Think of ourselves as like a State Farm, like a good neighbor, we're there. But one of the key focuses is the market access piece. Like, how do we help connect smaller businesses, impactful businesses, to bigger opportunities? And that's what we've been working on. And we've had some success in piloting and modeling that. And it moved at this point, over 2.5 million to over 20 Bronx vendors in multiple industries. And that's with anchor institutions and CBOs. So we want to scale that. Like, how do we help redirect more back into the Bronx? And just to illustrate, I can hit next year, one of the projects, and excited to have one of the worker owners on the call here, that more recently just kind of highlights how this cooperative model, this cooperative theory, how it works at different levels here, and how we can work in the community with our different partners to make the connections necessary. So to give you an example, BioClassic, incredible cleaning company that's 5 worker owners. We helped when COVID hit. We helped them identify the issues they needed to address to become a clean company in COVID, helped find out what opportunities are out there connected to WEDCO in the Bronx, and helped grease the wheels, if you will, on that contract so that Bioclassic was able to execute that on that and basically grow their capabilities and capacities and help position them. So that's kind of where we've been focusing on. And if you hit next here, what we've been thinking about, and COVID really accelerated this, I think for everybody, right? As we were working with a smaller number of businesses to grow, COVID hit, realizing how challenging it is for small businesses to get the resources they need without like the support around them. And as all of these emergency funds came in and resources on top of everything out there, it's very overwhelming for the businesses. And that's a challenge before COVID, but it just accelerated and kind of pivoted our focus to think a bit more broadly about what's needed to help the ecosystem so we could do more faster in a more collaborative fashion. So, pivot. So from that challenge, next, we, thinking about that problem of resources and information and how overwhelming it is for the businesses. And if we could help organize that, if we can help standardize and centralize the support providers, the capital providers, and help connect those resources to the business in a more efficient, streamlined, strategic way, that could be a benefit to the businesses and to all of our partners in this ecosystem, whether they're helping support businesses or purchasing from businesses. So that data issue is something we've been embarking on to address and to build a platform that supports our work in helping make these connections, but we'll make it available as a community resource, as a place-based economic tool and strategy here in the Bronx that centers small business owners, that are impactful, that have democratic principles and practices, and that help create community wealth, while still providing tools and resources for the larger, broader business community as well. Next. And so this platform we're calling the Business ECOsystem Navigator, BECON for short. And we'll be rolling out a bit more clear branding on that to support the work, not just in the Bronx, but elsewhere. But our focus, of course, at the BronXchange is the Bronx, and connecting all of these different players in the ecosystem. Because as we started to collect data and compile it and bring it into the database, realizing how many touch points there are for businesses and how many stakeholders there are for small businesses and support, and how we can help make those connections and bring greater kind of visibility, accountability, transparency to economic development, and then empower those closest in communities with tools and with information. Next. So I'm going to just hit on some of the kind of key features in this 1.0 version of BECON, starting with the directory, so that we've captured the providers in the ecosystem, both local to the Bronx, to New York City, but also statewide and nationwide, that are of value and could be of help and support to businesses, whether that's funding or training or what have you, and help standardize and help organize it so it can be a kind of a one-point stop. The resources, as I mentioned, vary. A business directory as well. So our network of businesses is available on the site, and also as additional businesses register to be able to create a profile and add additional information that makes it easier for us also to help with the matchmaking with of opportunities. And those are also what we're adding to this on the site as well, are the publicly available and through our work engaging private institutions, the private opportunities, and helping steward, again, those two businesses in the Bronx and helping make those connections. Next. So beyond the directory, there's an internal facing function that enables business owners to have kind of a dashboard and a toolkit, if you will, to manage resources, to message support providers, to message each other as the network grows, to bookmark, to leave reviews, and provide data to help others on the quality of services, and data to the support community on the quality and effectiveness of our services, so we can continuously improve. That feedback loop is very important. There's also the login and the capability for the support providers on the platform to provide strategic support and have a toolkit that goes across organizations to look at cohorts of businesses that need support and be able to work together more easily. There's such, COVID we've seen such energy and interest in collaboration and cooperation that has happened, especially in the emergency. This can help facilitate and speed that up and make that kind of easier collaboration around businesses. So what you're looking at here is the Jerome Ave Rezoning Collaborative. So they're businesses that are listed. You can see them on the map. Support providers can work together to make sure that we are essentially covering and helping those businesses and holding each other accountable to do so as well, and have more transparency of who's helping who does what, and what businesses need. So we can really, be strategic. Next. Local procurement. So the platform is meant to be multi-sided. It's businesses, support providers, but of course, procurement has been a core kind of strategy of ours to leverage the anchor buying power to build community wealth. Very excited because WCS, the Wildlife Conservation Society, this is a actual screenshot because the head of their procurement team is now utilizing the platform, identifying opportunities so that we can help connect them to local businesses. So we're doing that matchmaking. Fordham University, it's coming on board the platform. We have been working with River Spring Health and a number of others. I'm just highlighting a few, but those institutions are providing opportunities and working to help build this network of suppliers and help identify gaps so that we can help fill them and work with partners in this community to address those needs and develop this cohort of businesses that are having increasing impact. Next. And strategic partners. So the owner to owners and this work is so aligned with the BronXchange. It really was born out of the BCDI's kind of looking at what models can help in terms of building worker ownership. So it really excited that owner to owners and BronXchange and BECON, the platform that's supporting even more broadly, is partnering to leverage technology, to leverage partners, to continue to iterate and build the systems and tools that help make it easier for businesses to access resources, education around employee ownership, and data and information to kind of identify the kind of long-term strategies around operationalizing economic democracy and help the whole ecosystem have kind of more data and be more strategic and be more proactive. So showing here just on the left, you see a profile of the owner to owners initiative is on the platform, and where you can see who the partners are. And there will be the capability soon to submit and engage directly with through the platform with that initiative and many others. And then the other shot I'm showing here, this overview, is something really excited about, which is thinking of it as like how to democratizing local economic development, giving tools to the organizations, agencies closest to the ground in the neighborhoods in the Bronx to be able to look at community districts, neighborhoods, zip codes, different kind of boundaries, and look at data around that and track data and set targets and goals and work collaboratively as organizations to support businesses. So the platform really is positioned to help accelerate this work to build community wealth, to build economic democracy, and support and promote models like the businesses that are joining us today that we're so excited. I love like working with these folks, and like I'm always thinking like, how do we help make more of them? How do we help show people? And so also the platform to tell stories, to give models and data is really key. So really excited to be working with owner-to-owners on this, and looking forward to next steps. And
Thank you so much, Tim. That was great. My name is Julian McKinley, and I'm representing owner-to-owners today. We're really, really excited about BECON, and it is such an exciting resource for the community. As Tim mentioned, owner-to-owners is just one resource that's available on the platform. There is a wide world of services available to Bronx business owners, and we're excited to not just learn about that today, but then also to spotlight a little bit owner-to-owners as one of the featured resources. Owner-to-owners, for those who don't know, is an employee ownership NYC initiative. Employee ownership describes a business that is owned completely or in part by its workers, instead of a single owner or a two-person partnership, right? So we at owner-to-owners, we help businesses become employee-owned with the help of expert technical assistance providers who have been doing this work in the city for years now. And so we help businesses become employee-owned because they're interested in maybe keeping their doors open, saving the jobs that they support. It can be used as a business continuity strategy. It also rewards employees for helping build a successful business over time. And it can even support a business owner who is looking to retire or enjoy an early exit and ensure that they get the market value for their business. So we're going to be joined now by a few business owners in the Bronx and hear about their experiences with employee ownership. In particular, we're going to hear from Ramona Mejia from Selmar Enterprises. Thank you for joining us, Ramona. Nacio Giles from Skedaddle Pest Management, Ken Lewis from the Drivers Co-op, Maria Arias from Bioclassic Cleaning, and David Lee from KD Knit. So why don't we begin by hearing a little bit from Ken Lewis at the Drivers Co-op. Ken, I would love it if, just make sure you're there, you could turn your camera on. I can't see you, but you can turn your camera on and your mic. We would love to be able to get a sense of what employee ownership, what being a worker cooperative means to the Drivers Co-op, and what has been your experience, what's the impact of being a worker co-op on the workers there, your culture, and the business as a whole.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. We can't see you though.
For some reason, it's saying you cannot start your video because the host has stopped it. So
Right
you
now.
can't see me. But in interest of time, let me go ahead quickly. We are the Drivers Cooperative, and we operate a ride hailing service. Basically, drivers came together and decided that we can do better than what is being given to us by the main companies, Uber, Lyft, etc. I mean, even in slavery, the slaves were provided with tools. In this case, the 86,000 drivers in New York, we had to buy our cars, and cars are like $10,000. They're the main asset in the industry. So the workers were providing well over $1 billion in assets to be exploited. And so the drivers have been talking about this a long time, and our model is a simple one. Cut out the middleman, Uber and Lyft, operate our own app, Co-op Ride, and we can look for many other ways in which we can lessen the cost for our drivers. And number two, create an environment where workers can be real owners, not just owners in name, but owners where they call in the shots. Because the reality is that drivers know better about how to run their own company. And so this is basically what we are based on. So far, over 2,500 workers have come on. And I just want to mention briefly, because I know my time is very brief, the power of cooperatives. When we started this, everyone thought it was a joke. How are you going to compete with billion-dollar companies, which have enterprise in many different countries and have billions of dollars? Well, we found CHCA, the largest co-op based in the Bronx, and Cooperative Healthcare Associates helped us with our first test. And whenever we were down, they were always there encouraging us and putting their 30-odd years of experience to help us. When we got our first funds, it was Shared Capital, another co-op who really helped. And the Lower East Side Credit Union, even before we started the ride hailing, they were able to refinance drivers who were paying $2,000 a month for cars and could not take a day off. People were paying now, in one case, a friend of mine, Walter, refinanced his car from paying $1,900 to $465. And not only could he have a day off, but sent us pictures in our chat from his wedding in Africa. So we're an immigrant body. We're trying to do this. We're asking support for everyone. Use Co-op Ride. We are just starting. There are kinks, but we are working them out and we are going forward. And all I can say is big up to all of the co-ops who are helping Co-op Power works. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, Ken. Yeah, that's a powerful testimony. Just go download the app now. They're fantastic. You can go do that right now and support the Drivers Co-op. I'm going to go ahead and turn over to Ramona Mejia. Thank you so much, Ramona, for joining us today. If you could tell us a little bit about Selmar, your business, and what your ownership model is.
So we are employee owned. We have generally a private setup. The owners wanted to retire and they didn't want to sell the company. So we signed a revocable trust and we offered to pay $2.5 million for the company throughout the course of 10 years. The company, I'm terrible at public speaking. I told this to Tim, so I'm going to try my best.
You're doing great. You're doing great.
Too much. So anyways, the company was left to 5 employees, and through payroll weekly, we pay the owners. So for 10 years, the employees have to pay the owners. And it works out for us. It was a privately done deal through lawyers. It's very difficult to do in so many ways because the company practically still belongs to the owner. Until you pay the last dime, it doesn't belong to us. So we have maneuvered to have our own profit sharing plan and our own 401k so we can give benefits to all the employees while we're still working towards ownership. What else? So, it's not an easy thing to do privately. I wish I would have learned more about the cooperative way that you guys have this set up, because at the end of the day, the benefit goes, most of it, towards the owner for the 10 years. You know, it's like $2.5 million plus interest. It's a huge deal for them, a huge deal for us too, because we get to become owners and we benefit of being our own bosses. But, you know, the structural itself, I wish I would have been a little bit more knowledgeable about your cooperative setup.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for highlighting that. I think it was the number one for those folks who are interested in pursuing this. All of our services are offered at no cost. I'm curious, just really quick, Ramona, if you could share, you know, the opportunity to become an owner in the future. What does that mean for you and your coworkers, your co-owners?
So we will be fully vested. I'm going to present like a profit sharing plan. We're going to be fully vested in June 2023. So we will fully own the company outright ourselves. So after that, we can structure it where all the employees can have shares to the company. So we will be able to make it 100% employee owned instead of having 5 owners. You know, the original owners wanted to set it up only for 5 employees, but after June 2023, we should be able to structure it more of a even spread throughout the company. So we look forward to doing that. So, you know, we are in an industry where we need to retain employment because it's sort of like a trade. You can't not have people leave, because once you train someone, to train them again, it could take up to 4 to 5 years. So retention is one of our biggest needs in our industry.
Yeah.
So.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us, Ramona. And employee ownership is certainly a tool to attract and retain talent.
Yes.
I want to go over to Maria. Maria joins us from Bioclassic Cleaning. And I'm going to give our interpreter a second to transition from the Spanish line over to the English line to help us introduce Maria. Maria, I would love it if you could tell us a little bit about Bioclassic Cleaning and why you decided to be a worker cooperative. You'll have to unmute yourself because you're on mute. There we go.
No, that's not me. Give me access to this.
Okay. Yes, we can hear you. You're off mute now.
Oh, it's okay? Yeah. Sorry. Good afternoon, everybody. No puedo hablar bien el inglés. ¿Puedo hacer en español, por favor? Bueno, gracias. Nuestra cooperativa es una compañía LLC y bueno, para nosotros el reto de ser una cooperativa fue en acceso al que nosotros vivíamos mucho dependido de muchas compañías, empleadores y pagado muy bajos salarios, y por eso decidimos un día convertir en cooperativa y hasta aquí. Gracias por las ayudas de muchas organizaciones y de BronXchange hemos podido avanzar a conseguir trabajos, fuentes de trabajo, y seguimos adelante trabajando y queremos seguir con la ayuda del señor Tim, de todos los de BronXchange, para poder seguir adelante. Queremos tener más gente en nuestra cooperativa, pero también tener más fuentes de trabajo para poder ofrecer a la demás gente, a demás personas que necesitan, y seguir adelante.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Maria. You mentioned something that's really important, which is the wages and being able to work for yourself as opposed to an agency. I wonder, Nacio, can you tell us a little bit about your business and Skedaddle and how you were doing and why you chose a worker cooperative model as well?
Yes, my name is Nacio Giles, one of the owners of Skedaddle Pest Management. And the last 2 companies I worked for were pretty large pest control concerns, but there were problems with who got the money from the work of the people who were out in the field doing the work. We ran into places where I was a manager where some people thought that they should only work 4 or 5 hours a day and then be able to go home because that was one of the benefits of being out in the field doing pest control in their minds. In other cases, people had large routes to do, not enough time to do it because management wanted to bring the last amount of money they could out of these people. When we left the last company, which I was involved with, I had a choice to become part of management or part of the unionized workers. Management, they said, offered the opportunity for people to have finder's fees for jobs that they brought into the company and commissions on those jobs as they were serviced during the course of the year. Now, that turned out to be not true. The company didn't provide that. But I thought that was a good idea. I think that people who provide the work should be able to profit from bringing work in and from the profits earned by servicing those accounts as they come in. The other thing that we wanted to do with our pest control company was to provide service for people who had the greatest need. In the communities that we came from, Lower East Side, South Bronx, places like that, we thought there was a big opportunity for a company to come in and provide a service that took care of the property and health of the people involved there by controlling the insects that destroy your health and also destroy your property. One of the important things here was to be able to communicate to the people, take the time to communicate with them about how they had to participate in the pest control process. And so we proceeded to try to put together a company like that. We're small, but we've been growing over the last year, and with the help of BronXchange and BCDI, we've been able to bring contracts in. We've worked with the bioclassic people to help with apartments that needed to bring down the roach population to combat asthma. And we've brought several other types of jobs in for buildings that just needed good service. It's a big struggle. The ability to control our own hours and to handle personal needs of our owners is something that we've been very proud of. We're very small. We're only 2 people at the moment. We've been up to 4 or 5, but we continue to work and try to make this model work for us. We are cooperative, and we have a way to go before we can provide all the benefits of a cooperative.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Nacio. Both you and Maria mentioned something that I want to lift up for everyone who's on the call today, and that's the great support that you received from BronXchange and BCDI. For those who don't know, both of those organizations are part of a larger initiative across the city that has supported worker-owned businesses for almost 8 years now. Owner to owners, our program, we connect all businesses directly to those same services for free. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a couple minutes. Before we get there, I want to go over to David Lee. David, thank you so much for joining us. David, you lead KD Knit. Can you tell us a little bit about your business? I understand you're not an employee-owned business yet, but you are interested in potentially becoming an employee-owned business. Tell us a little bit about where you are now and why that's something that might be interesting to you.
Right. So thank you for having me. I have years of experience in knits, and I felt like I wanted to hit reset and redesign everything that I was doing. And employee ownership, I've always looked into it. Employee ownership was very, very important to me. In fact, I felt like it was necessary for establishing an equitable organization that everybody played a role in, from the top to the bottom, and shared in the rewards and the results of the work. I thought that was that's part of the future, and I see that will be a business model going forward for doing business. I think that it's part of a trend now, and I'm glad that we are really on that note in the Bronx. And and I think that we have an opportunity to send out a loud message that this is where the whole business market is going. These are the opportunities in sharing the business. I personally never thought that there was a real distinction between stakeholders, equity, employees, or management, and I always thought that it should be an organic cooperation between all and the support. So I started looking when Tim and I started talking. He reintroduced me to a few people that I've met before, and so it became an opportunity for me to begin to learn how to shape the organization that I wanted to have. And what I'm looking at is right now is more of a hybrid model where there's employee ownership, there's equity stakeholders, and there's management. And that is part of what I meant when I said I wanted to hit reset and just redesign the whole thing. The advantages that I can see from employee ownership are inclusivity, and including in the decision-making process, shared pain, shared gain, and overall a very organic, wholesome organization and environment. I've always thought that continuity and longevity. I always thought about continuity and longevity in the business, and I think that employee ownership is the perfect way to resolve a lot of those issues in terms of what's going to happen to the business when I'm not there, or what's going to happen to the business when the management team that I put together, or we put together. And I think that I have a great opportunity to do it from scratch and kind of design it in a way that speaks to right now. And that's kind of, that's where I am. I'm learning, and I'm in the process of putting together that model. And I think that I'm very, 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 very excited. I have a set up in New Jersey right now, but I'm looking to move back to the Bronx. And I'm excited.
Yeah.
And I'm also excited about learning about, including the hybrid model of employee ownership and building that out.
Excellent. Thank you so much, David. Really exciting to learn about your work. For those who are interested, Tim just shared a link in the chat. You can learn more about David's work and Katie Knit. Thank you so much to everyone who joined us, Ramona, Maria, Nacio, Ken, and David. Your testimony say a lot about worker ownership, but also we wish you the absolute best in your businesses moving forward. So now I want to take just a couple of minutes to tell you a little bit more about employee ownership. As we mentioned, this Owner to Owners is one service that is available on the BECON network that we learned about from Tim and BronXchange earlier today. It's one of many services that you can gain access to. If you have any questions for anyone on the line today, please put them into the chat or use our Q&A feature. The benefits to businesses, to workers in industry that we heard today, I think are all achievable. And Owners to Owners is really here to help you do it. We want to help you reap those benefits, and transition to this model for your business can provide a business owner, first of all, with a fair market price for the business that you've built. It can also provide business owners with significant tax breaks along with that value. And then I think a couple of our folks on the call today mentioned the ability to preserve jobs and improving business operations. Those are realities for employee-owned businesses, and they are attainable for you. Owner to Owners, again, is here to help. We can go to the next slide. So it's important to know this is a city-funded program. Owner to Owners is a part of Employee Ownership NYC. That means that all of these services are available to business owners at absolutely no cost. We provide a complete range of services to owners and employees, and we can help you starting off just to even determine if employee ownership is the right fit for you, for your business, and for your employees. If it is The services we provide can include things like what we first asked to just complete a basic survey so we can get some information about your business. We ask you to, we'll go ahead and provide a free consultation with you, an eligibility assessment. We can get a valuation for your business so you know exactly what you should be getting at market value. We can also connect you with access to capital, or connect you to capital rather, not access to capital, but connect you to the actual capital to help that deal go through. And we'll also provide training, education, and long-term support to ensure that your business is successful now and in the long term. We can go to the next slide. So you can find out if employee ownership is the right fit for you by giving us a call today, 646-363-6592. You can also visit us at ownertoowners.nyc. Again, all of our services are offered at no cost to business owners and employees. We're happy to answer your questions on the phone, but also today we have a few folks who are on the call with us, Shelly Miller and Quincy Ely Kate. They will be joining us during our Q&A. And with that, I will wrap up my call to action there and hand it back over to Antu.
Thank you, Julian. And thanks everybody for joining us today, and especially for the panelists who have joined us and shared so much of their learnings from converting to employee ownership and their experiences. So now transitioning to our Q&A, we have several experts on transitioning to employee ownership, our technical assistance providers, Shelly Miller and Quincy Ely Kate from Owner to Owners. They are here to answer any specific questions you may have, in addition to Tim, who is available to speak about BECON and your business and how to get engaged with it. So first question that we're getting. I am interested to learn if the platform can help connect interested businesses with customers and businesses in the Bronx. I think that question might be for you, Tim.
Yeah, that's absolutely. As we build the network, your business, we will help push that information out to the broader network of institutions, of others. So it is a channel to reach more customers, and by building a profile on the site can help us also target as well. Because the goal really for us is how do we make things easier for small business, for tactful small businesses? How do we make things easier? So that's one thing we do, and happy to help you.
And next question, another question for Tim. What criteria does the BronXchange team use to verify if a business's values align?
Yeah, that's a great question, because there's a broader where it's open to the Bronx businesses, like all Bronx businesses, but we are preferencing businesses that are where the owners also live in the Bronx. We are also surfacing information in terms of minority-owned businesses, the kind of practices of the business, as well as we collect information around the kind of the governance and the sustainability. And so there's a number of kind of data points that we collect and over time that also helps kind of preference businesses because of their impact.
Thank you, Tim. So next question. I've heard the terms co-op and employee ownership used interchangeably. Is that in fact the case for this discussion? Oh, good question. Shelly, do you want to give that a spin? And then Quincy and Tim, do y'all want to jump in?
Yeah, I guess we were being a bit casual about it. No, they are not interchangeable. Employee ownership is much broader than worker cooperatives. Worker cooperatives is just one form of employee ownership. The most common form, or the most widely known form, I might say, is an ESOP. And there are other types of trusts as well. an ESOP is an employee stock ownership plan type of trust. I forgot, I think one of the presenters had spoken about a different kind of trust, irrevocable trust. I think she said was set up, which is a type of trust. Those are more common outside of the United States, but are starting to make some headway here as well. And then some people even include under the umbrella of employee ownership of things like, employee stock options and things like that as well. You want to add anything, Quincy?
I would just add, one of the kind of core principles that, I think we're looking at when we're looking at worker cooperatives is also the decision-making process, and also open book accounting so that there's real transparency from employees to know, that they can weigh in on decisions and know the health of the business. Many times in an ESOP or other types of models, they might not have much influence in decisions being made in the business or understand the financials and accounting that's happening within the business. So I think a true worker cooperative would bring those types of practices into it.
Tim, anything else you might want to add? No? All right. We'll move on to the next question. It's quite a few questions today. It's great. How long does it take to become a worker cooperative or an transitional employee ownership? That's a great question. Quincy, you want to get that started? And Shelley, any thoughts?
Well, it depends. I think when we're looking at a traditional conversion, taking an operating business that, with one owner and having basically a conversion to a worker cooperative where the owner's selling the business, it could be 6 months, could be a couple years. I think, and it really depends on what the owner's needs are in terms of do they need to get out of the business sooner than later. And I'd let Shelley kind of dig deeper on that, but it will really depend on from case to case.
Yeah, I would agree with that. We kind of say to you like a minimum of 6 months, but in reality, we tell you kind of plan on the 1 year model because that should be enough time to get it done. But it does depend on different factors, starting with the very beginning. How together are your books? How ready are your employees in terms of operations? If you're leaving, are there people to take over your role? There's an analysis of the business itself that may determine it. And then sometimes, like we have some businesses that there are financial goals that the owner wants to reach, and within a year, they could not reach that goal because the fair market price would not satisfy that goal. But if they did certain things after maybe 2 years, or maybe even a little more, they could reach those goals. So those answers would have to be obtained first before you could really answer the question of how long. But if you want to, like on average, we tell you when you come in and start at the beginning with us, we're planning on a year. But you can go quicker if you really want to and you're motivated, because then the owner has to work pretty closely with the analyst to get everything done.
Thank you. Next question. From an operational standpoint, can anyone speak to how adding employees and termination work under an employee ownership model with respect to equity interest? Ooh, juicy. Shelley, you want to take a stab at that?
I was going to throw that at Quincy. Okay.
Can you repeat the question? Was it in the chat?
Sure. From an operational standpoint, can anyone speak to how adding employees and termination work under an employee ownership model with respect to equity interest?
So,
you're gonna okay. Go ahead.
Go for it. I was just gonna say there are a number of different options, and it would come down to how the bylaws are structured. with each business. And, you know, Shelley, if you kind of want to provide more input there, but there's a lot of flexibility on how it could be.
Yeah, there is. I think probably what the questioner might be getting to, because I've had people, you know, address this is, you know, if you leave, do you like get to take money out? And depending on how it's set up, the answer would be yes, but you can't just sell your interest to some other third party. Normally, the cooperative itself, you know, will buy back there. You have to sell your shares back to the cooperative. And typically how that's done is going to be set out, you know, in the bylaws. And then we don't want to get into too much complication, but there's also a capital account that's accruing for you. And that has a different value from your share. And that too has to be sold back to the cooperative. In terms of hiring and firing though, depending on how you're set up, but a lot of times co-ops look like any other business. They're like any other small business. And usually whatever the management structure, whether it's a individual manager or management team, the direct supervisor of the employee makes determination decisions and hiring decisions for, you know, your department or the needs of the business.
Question for Tim. Can a business advertise on BECON?
Right now, we don't have an advertising feature. That's something we will look at in the future. But currently, no, there's not an advertising function.
Got it. And what does it cost to use BECON while we have you?
Super expensive. Nothing. Yeah, there is no cost right now for the businesses, and we don't intend to charge businesses, small businesses, to use the platform for this level of service. That we're again going to continue to iterate and provide additional features that where there may be cost, but to create a profile, join the site, add information, there's no cost.
Then one last question. Does every worker have to become an owner? Are there hybrid models? This is for you, Shelley and Quincy.
Yeah, no, every owner does not have to become a worker owner. However, there has to be an open avenue for every owner every employee who might want to become an owner to become an owner. But the co-op gets to set up the criteria it has and its bylaws and operating rules for what you need to do in order to be a qualified worker owner.
Great. Quincy, any thoughts?
No, I mean, you hit it on the head, Shelley. That's great.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Shelley, Quincy, Tim, David, Nasio.
Can I ask one question? And I have to go because I have another meeting, but how is turnover handled? I mean, what happens in the eventuality, or if there's turnover, or how does that? I mean, is it a question of how long it takes for the worker ownership to vest itself, and you know, are there prearranged parameters on the vesting of the equity?
That relates to the earlier question when Quincy mentioned they're going to set up bylaws that are going to have certain rules.
Oh,
but
I see.
basically what I said before is the co-op, just like you have to sell it back to the co-op, but the co-op also has to buy it back. So they have to set up rules at the beginning of what kind of time frame and flexibility you'll have on having to do that.
And these are the kind of things that you kind of help advise and guide through.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Thank you for answering. Thank you everyone for staying on a little bit longer and for just answering all these really great questions that folks have raised up. Thank you everyone for your engagement. Special thank you to Deputy Mayor Thompson and BronXchange, as well as BCDI for helping us convene this event. Special thanks to community partners, Bronx Community Foundation, Sobro, WEDCO, Bronx Women's Business Center, Small Business Development Center, Jerome Benhill BID, and the larger Bronx BID network, as well as the New York City Department of Small Business Services. And finally, thanks to the business owners who joined us on our call today, sharing their great experiences. Ramona Meja from Selmar, Maceo Giles from Skedaddle Pest Management, Maria Arias of Biotoxic Cleaning, David Lee of KD Knit, and Ken Lewis from the Drivers Co-op. Thanks again, everyone, and I hope you have a great night.
Have a good night. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, everybody.